Joining us now, Corey Lewandowski. He is with Trump-Pence 2020 senior advisor. Rumors, Corey, are circulating that Corey Lewandowski might just be asked by President Trump to lead up his campaign and take things over and bring in some of the killers, like Dave Bossie and others. True or false?
John, rumors are rumors, and, they're absolutely false. I can tell you that I have not spoken to President Trump. I know that the president is somebody who has faith in his leadership team, and I continue to have the privilege to be part of the campaign as a senior advisor and do everything I can to make sure that Donald Trump and Mike Pence are reelected to continue to serve in the capacity to lead our country. And so I will continue to do that any way I can. I'll continue to support the leadership team that is there, because the only thing that matters to me outside of my family directly is making sure that we have Donald Trump and Mike Pence in the White House for 4 more years. So whatever I can do to do that, John, I am going to do that, but, these rumors are just not true.
Well, you never know what's going to happen in the future, Corey, so we'll have to see. But they're out there. I just got to tell you that a lot of people have told me, hey, Lewandowski, ask him if he's taken over the campaign, if he's been called by the president. So we'll see what happens. Look, you did it once. You can do it again. And I think, they're looking at the poll numbers and wondering about the messaging and things of that nature. So I know you continue to be involved, and you're going to continue to do that. Let's talk about Joe Biden. The police, Corey, in America, they took away their Biden endorsement. Is this big? What does it mean, Corey?
Well, John, as your listeners know, I had the privilege to go through the New Hampshire Police Academy and serve the Thin Blue Line for 4 years. And so, this is near and dear to my heart, and I can tell you that this is a country which believes in law and order, which believes in rules and regulations, and the men and women who serve on that Thin Blue Line, those first responders, deserve to have support from the candidates who are running for office. And I know that this president, Donald Trump, has been the law and order candidate, and this is really, really a big story which no one is talking about, because when Barack Obama ran for president of the United States, the only reason at that time that the police endorsed him over John McCain was because of Joe Biden. And then you fast forward to his reelection effort. The only reason, once again, Barack Obama was endorsed in his reelection effort against Mitt Romney was because of Joe Biden's record of supporting the police over 36 years in the United States Senate. But now look where we are. Joe Biden is now taking a step back from the issue of law and order, saying that he has to, because he has such a far, far left constituency, such a far left radical base, saying that it's okay by and large to go and support defunding the police. Now, Joe says we're not going to defund the police, but he knows he can't go too far, because just yesterday, John, I believe we're going to have seen another victim of the far left radicals who have, looks like they've defeated Eliot Engel in New York, the multi-term congressman with a far-left socialist who's been backed by AOC. So Joe Biden knows in order for him to have any chance of being successful against Donald Trump, and that's a very small chance, he needs to pander to the far left. The police recognize that, and because of that, they made this decision to actually unendorse Joe Biden. It is a huge, monumental issue, and I think it shows that they are with Donald Trump because he has been with them. And John, for all of your listeners who know what Lafayette Park is, who know that there is a statue there that the marauders, I call them, tried to tear down of Andrew Jackson on horseback. But the Capitol Hill Police and the U.S. Park Police were there, not the Capitol Police, U.S. Park Police and Secret Service were there to prevent them from doing that. We need to get a hold of this, because there is now talk of them deciding that Mount Rushmore can no longer exist.
Right.
Where does this chaos end? And the truth is, the police are our front line of defense against these people.
Well, the next thing they're going to do is want the removal of the Lincoln Monument, the Washington Monument. They've already torn down in Oregon a Thomas Jefferson statue. All this stuff is coming. Christopher Columbus, who didn't have anything to do with any of this, right? Sailed the ocean blue 1492. He gets torn down here in Richmond, where I am today. But Corey, I mean, you've got an autonomous zone getting set up right where you and I live there in D.C., right by the White House. And what is the mayor doing? It's like they're now the party of mobs and chaos.
complete failed leadership by the mayor of Washington, D.C., but we've seen this now in every major city. We've seen spikes in violence in Chicago, in New York, and obviously we don't even have to talk about CHOP as it has become known. But what we now see is that the people of Seattle have said, we've had enough of CHOP, okay? There's been violence in there. There are people dying. The police can't respond. And now the mayor, after someone was killed and the police couldn't respond to that, is saying, okay, we're going to take down the walls that we, the mayor, put up in place to give these people the right to assemble there in their own free area. Look, this is insanity, John. And the truth is, I know people don't want to hear this, but the police are the first line of defense. And when you need somebody, you pick up the phone, you call 911. 250 million calls to 911 last year. You don't pick up the phone and call CHOP or Antifa or somebody else when you've got a problem at your home or you've been in a car accident or whatever it may be. And so, look, the American people are coming around to this fact. Is there going to be a far left component of this who believes that ripping down every single statue is the right answer? Of course they are. They are radicals. They're marauders. They are desecrating our nation's history. And by the way, Tom Cotton has talked about this. These people who are destroying statues of generals who served in previous wars on government property have clearly violated the law, punishable by 10 years in jail. Let's get the FBI and other agencies to go and find who these people are and start prosecuting them, because this is not a game.
Right.
John, this is not a game. This is serious stuff. And we need to potentially do a better job of teaching our children and our grandchildren about the history of our country so that they understand what these people did in order to give us the freedoms that we currently hold today. Because I think people often overlook it or they're just plain ignorant.
Well, Corey, if you look at it right now, they're in Lafayette Square and what they're doing. I mean, both of my studio, which is in your place of business in Washington by the Capitol and where we both live, and any day that can extend to our area. And if the police are standing down, you have chaos.
John, you can't have it, okay? And I know nobody wants to talk about this, but the demographic, which obviously the polling data shows, are most opposed to these marauders running through the street, the looters, the people destroying businesses, suburban housewives and suburban educated women. And so, for 3.5 years, all we heard from the media was Donald Trump is losing with suburban women. Donald Trump is losing with college-educated women, okay? Now that Donald Trump has stood up once again to be the law and order candidate, and Joe Biden is a candidate of chaos and bedlam and basically condoning this type of violence, no one's talking about that anymore. No one's talking about that. It's just so amazing to me how the media has one narrative until the narrative doesn't fit anymore. Because the truth is, those women who are college-educated or single moms who are living in the suburbs don't condone this by an enormous percentage of the vote, because they want safety and security for their families just like every other American does. But the media doesn't want to talk about it. The media doesn't want to talk about the double standard of, hey, it's okay to go out and loot and destroy and rip down statues without a mask, but God forbid you attempt to stand in line to go see Donald Trump and not wear a mask, or you go to an event in Arizona like the president did yesterday for Turning Point USA and not have a mask on. Oh, my God, the world has come to an end. It's the double standard. It's why, by and large, the mainstream media has a single-digit approval rating, and it's by and large why Donald Trump continues to show that he can buck the system, and even with all the media attacks, show his strength and why the American people are going to vote for him in November.
Corey Lewandowski with us. Corey Lewandowski, author of 2 New York Times bestsellers, Let Trump Be Trump, Trump's Enemies. You can get them barnesandnoble.com. You can go to Amazon, your favorite bookstore, buy his books. They're now more than ever must read. Also, he's a senior advisor to Trump Pence 2020, ran Trump's campaign 2016, won him the nomination against all odds when nobody thought he had a shot. Of course, I was there from the beginning, so I got to see the whole thing. Look, I have to get back to this New York Congress race, Corey Lewandowski. Eliot Engel is going to lose to Bowman. I mean, this guy's a radical Marxist. Eliot Elliot Engel's been there, 10 terms. He's senior status, controls a lot of things. He's getting crushed there. What you said earlier is Joe Biden is a complete hostage, even if he knows what's going on, of this radical AOC element, Corey.
John, there's no question about it. Look, we have now seen this over the course of the last 2 cycles in the primaries, whether it was Michael Capuano in Massachusetts, whether it was Joe Crowley in New York, both defeated in their respective primaries in solidly Democrat districts by far-left progressives who believe that just because of their seniority, which both had done north of 10 terms or 20 years in Congress, they decided to change those people out, and that's where we are today with Elliot Engel. This is a senior member of the Democratic caucus, and what the district has decided with the support of AOC was he's not radical enough for us anymore. We need to find someone who's more radical. And what I've seen from the numbers is in the last primary that he won 74% of the vote in a four-way race with 31,000 total votes cast. So far, this election, all the votes are not cast, but they've counted 36,000 ballots. In other words, with the votes not even all cast, they've seen an increase of 5,000 ballots in that congressional district, and he's losing right now like 63% of the vote. And
he's got to lose.
He's in big trouble.
Corey, he's going to lose. There's not enough absent.
This is AOC putting her stamp once again on the far left of the Democratic Party and exerting more influence than Nancy Pelosi has in determining the future of Congress.
I mean, it's really incredible, Corey, when you look at this woman who basically, 3 years ago, she was a bartender. And I have nothing bad to say about bartenders. I'd like Republicans to have some bartenders in there. We'd be a lot better off than we are now. So that's not my criticism of her. But you have to look at how far she has come. And now she's got another senior Democrat that they knock off and that they crush, just like she was able to win her race by a large margin. I mean, 27 years old. She's running for re-election. She has a campaign paid staff of 50 people, Corey. 50! She's running for re-election for Congress. She's got 50 people. She's got a social media fundraising network that is international. I mean, it's national. She raises a ton of money. If you're a Democrat, just like you said, and this Bowman thing is so big, because that is who is running the Democratic Party. That's who's in charge of the DOC. It's AOC. It's the leftists. It's the mob. It's these crazy people, right?
John,
worse than Bernie.
The rest of her colleagues have to be scared to death. They better take notice because AOC has now proven once again, if you are not in the far left wing of the radical Democratic Party, you will be taken out in a primary, and she clearly has the resources, the fundraising, and the staff, and the national profile to do it. And that should scare the hell out of Nancy Pelosi because now Nancy Pelosi has to once again deal with a person who is not loyal to Nancy in that caucus, but is loyal to AOC. And if she's just picking these guys off one by one, she has done more in 2 years to move the Democratic Party further to the left than Nancy Pelosi has done in helping people get elected in 20 years. I mean, this is a very scary thing. Clearly, she has a power base. Clearly, she has a base of support, of fundraising prowess for someone of her junior status in Congress, which clearly exceeds what her elective office experience would traditionally warrant. That being said, she has done a masterful job of using social media and going out and being provocative and making sure that the left is holding her colleagues accountable. It's almost unheard of, John, to have a colleague of yours from your own state campaign against you in a primary and defeat you, which she has now done with Crowley and Engel, as well as Michael Capuano from Massachusetts, who they also took out 2 years ago. So she is a true power broker, and that is an indication of where the Democratic Party is further and further and further to the left. That's Joe Biden's problem, and Joe has to manage this very, very closely because this is all about the slip from them and middle America and the people who get up and go to work every day who don't want to give illegal aliens free health care and free college tuition are saying enough is enough.
But then we have people, Corey, in the Republican Party, and, this is a real issue now that we have to deal with. We have Republicans now like Martha McSally in Arizona that yesterday introduced the TRIP Act, which is couples get $8,000 to go on vacation of taxpayer money that we don't have. We have trillions of dollars in debt, as you know. So they introduced the TRIP Act, Martha McSally. So I guess you get reelected by paying for people's vacation. So basically, you and Allison would get $8,000 government money to spend it on vacation. You can only get the $8,000 if you book hotels, airfare, and food and go on vacation. Have you ever heard? I mean, this is the problem we have, is these Republicans who don't stand for anything, trying to get reelected, giving money away like that's the answer.
John, it's insanity, okay? It's insanity.
You.
Look,
Thank you.
As much as I would love if someone were to give me $8,000, I'm not willing to mortgage my children or my grandchildren's future to take a vacation. That's what we're doing. Don't forget, nothing is free. This notion that you get free money doesn't exist, okay?
Insane.
That money is coming out of taxpayer dollars. That money is being diverted from other places, or we're using it to kick the can down the road. We've got so much money in debt right now that if we just stop spending everything but discretionary spending, it's going to take us, 100 years at this point to pay it off. We need to do a better job. And this is a Republican and a Democrat problem and has been for years. I think the last time we actually balanced the budget, I hate to say it, was when Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich were in Washington, D.C. And for anybody who's AOC's age or less, they don't remember those years, okay, because it's been 20-plus years. We need to do a better job. And I am so tired, John, of Republicans just saying more. It's not more. It's irresponsible. And it used to be that we cared about our national debt and deficit and made sure that we weren't turning that over to our children.
Corey, Trump calls, you pick up the phone. You say, yes, Mr. President. And he says, Corey, tell me the top things I have to do right now to win this race, to get reelected. Corey, what would you tell him?
Look, the first thing I would do, and I've said this, is I would once again, we saw yesterday that Joe Biden said no to additional debates. I would continue to ask Joe Biden to appear in public with Donald Trump on the same stage and ask for Lincoln Douglas-style debates from now until just one day short of 19 weeks from now. I think it's so important. I think the president has to be on the same platform as Joe Biden, showing the stark differences. That's number one. Number two, I would be out talking about the significant contrast that Donald Trump is going to hold China accountable while Joe Biden has what I call Biden Family Inc., Biden Family Incorporated, all the money that they have made through Joe Biden's office while he has been in elective office, whether it's Hunter Biden or Joe Biden's brother. It's amazing because the Trump family hasn't made any money while Donald Trump's in office. They just lost money the whole time. So that's a complete different comparison. And number three, the president has to get this economy up and running again. I know we're seeing spikes in the COVID-19 crisis, but we have to make sure that this president has articulated what he's been able to achieve in the first 3 years, which was the lowest unemployment in our nation's history, more people working than ever, and an economic boom that the world was envious of. We have to get back there because at the end of the day, it's the economy, stupid, and China. So it's the economy and China. And by the way, John, it just so happens to be the chapter name of one of my next books coming out. It's the economy, stupid, .. and China. So you wait, and I think that's what the president has to do. He has to talk about the strengths of things he's been able to do and remind the American people of that and hone that message every day, get them back on the road. I know there are people who think that he has to be more quote-unquote presidential. He's already the president of the United States. We don't have to pretend he's going to be presidential. He is the president. Let's get him on the road. Let's get him in front of people. And look, what did we see on Saturday night from Tulsa? And look, I'm not talking about the crowd size, John. 8 million people tuned into Fox News to listen to the president speak directly to the American people. We need more of it, not less.
Corey, when do we get your new book? Or when does it come out?
Look, I think it's going to be out in September. It's going to be the reasons to reelect Donald Trump. And so, look, it's also got some great stories in there about my time traveling with the president and being on the plane and how, I updated the book to reflect the whole COVID-19 crisis and what that did to the campaign and really the world's economy. So it's very timely. I just finished it, and maybe this COVID-19 thing helped me spend more time at home so I could be working on that, but I just finished it. But look, this is the successes of the first term of this administration, whether it's judges, China, the economy, There's so many things in there that we talk through, and like the other books, and particularly like Let Trump Be Trump, it's my personal experience traveling and spending time with the president and the team around him, and giving some funny anecdotes of, our trips to Iowa together, or New Hampshire, or, the last rally that preceded this one out in North Carolina. So it's a fun book, but it's also good enough for a policy person to understand all of the things that this president's been able to achieve on trade and other things.
Corey Lewandowski, thank you for your time today. Senior Advisor, Trump Pence 2020, still rumored to be taking a bigger role in the Trump 2020 reelect campaign. We'll have to see how it comes out. Writing a new book. It's The Economy, Stupid, ... and China, coming out in September. Hey, Corey, thanks for being with us, man. Thank you.
Thanks, John.